Today we're going to talk about options permissions. Sounds daunting, doesn't it? Well, you have to get permission from your broker to trade options. It's not like you can just sign up for your brokerage account, dump some money in, and be good to go. So I wanted to talk about some of the options permissions levels or tiers. Different brokerages call them different things. And then also talk about, not give advice for, but talk about what, how you could potentially gain access to those things. So let's go straight to my handy notepad as always. Bam, let's talk about options permissions. All right, it's bigger, I guess that's all it is. So there's levels. There's levels to this, homie. It's like I said, levels or tiers. I don't know. Different. I think TD Ameritrade calls them tiers. There's different accessibility levels. So level 1, covered calls and cash secured puts. So that means a covered call is when you own, let's say you own 100 shares of Apple and you want to sell a call against your shares. So you own the stock and you can sell an option against a call option against your shares. Those shares could eventually get called away at whatever strike price you sell that option at. And you could just buy more shares if you want and continue the process. There's also cash secure, which is selling put options on stocks you want to own at a certain price. Requires that you have enough money in your account to buy 100 shares of the stock. If you're selling, let's say you sell a $1 put on a stock, right? So your brokerage would hold $100 because you'd be basically you would be on the hook to buy 100 shares of a stock at $1. Your brokerage would hold that money. The put could expire worthless, or you could end up buying that stock at 100 shares of that stock at $1. So that's level 1. You can covered calls and cash secured puts. Level 2, long options. So buying and selling just straight up calls and puts. This is for your option trader who knows a little bit. Like I said, not everybody has spread permissions, so this is level 2 is the most common one that folks are able to gain access to. I mean, clearly after level 1, just for a little bit more of a speculation and trading kind of mindset. Now level 3, this one is kind of crucial for some of the things like option spreads, vertical spreads. Iron condors are 2 different vertical spreads. We'll get into that. I'll do a completely separate video on iron condors and butterfly spreads. But basically, these are defined risk spreads where there's a defined downside, right? Maybe you need a little bit more money in your account, which is why level 3 options require margin. Actually, level 3 and level 4 do require margin. However, level 1 and 2 are doable with just a cash account. I myself trade with a cash account and I only have level 1 and level 2, even though I love doing spreads, but I was with a former brokerage I grew up. And so level 4 is naked calls and puts. This is doing short strangles and straddles and uncovered options, where, if you sell a naked call option, your potential losses are unlimited if the stock goes to a bajillion or keeps going, So this is the highest level of options, permissions or trading level, which requires a lot of margin and generally a lot of experience. So these are the levels. These are the permissions. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, great, Boom. Well, I know which level I want. How do I get there? There's a couple ways to go about it. So your brokerage, every brokerage, is required by law to have you fill out a form. It's kind of a questionnaire that asks you about your experience level with options. It asks you what you're trying to accomplish when trading options. It asks you if you're looking for conservative growth. I think there's a scale from conservative to speculative growth. It's going to ask you how long you've been trading options. It'll ask you your net worth. Don't take it personally. This is a FINRA rule that the brokerages are trying to obey, and they are trying to protect you, and they're trying to protect themselves as well, because they are a business and they don't want to lose a bunch of money because some inexperienced option trader sold a bunch of naked puts that they couldn't, cash out on when they get margin called or whatever. So there's a couple ways to go about it. Like, you go through your brokerage's website. Like, I use Thinkorswim, so I could go to tdameritrade.com. I think you go to profile and investor profile, and I would be able to answer the questionnaire. I could apply for options, upgrades. I'm not sure how it is on every other brokerage. A great way to do this, and this sounds really corny, honestly, give them a call. They have a great, almost every brokerage has fantastic customer service. They're really approachable. You give them a call, you say, and this is me directly quoting it, you say, Cliff, I want to trade options. He asks you some questions, you sign a form, and then you start trading options. Now, I'm not saying to be untruthful at all when it comes to applying for our options trading. They don't really verify your information, but I'm not saying be untruthful, because getting restricted to certain levels does protect you as a trader. If you're a complete neophyte to options, I would say, if you're interested in trading long, level 2 is good. You could buy calls, buy puts. You're not really selling any options. You don't need margin, so it's relatively safe. Even at level 3, everything is risk defined, but that risk can be a little bit larger than it is at level 2. So you need margin on your account in order to cover that larger risk. My best recommendation is to give them a call and be honest, because you can work your way up in options levels. It's always there to reapply, to recall, and get up to the next level. Like, you could navigate to your whatever brokerage website you have right now, log in, and apply for an options upgrade right this second. Or you could give them a call. My recommendation is always to give them a call. That way you can talk to them. You could give them all your information. They're not going to sell any of your information. That's all stuff that they have to ask legally to protect both themselves and you. But I wanted to talk about what the options permissions levels were and a way to obtain these permission levels. So that's all for now. I love you.